Today, having a look at making a basic finish for cutting boards. Ingredients wise, you'll need beeswax and mineral oil. You can get these online in all sorts of places, but for this batch I got mine from eBay. The equipment I'm using is this wax melter that I bought from Amazon. I quite like it because it has the angled base, the dispense handle, and it came with this handy jug, which will make life easier. So the first step is very simple, just a case of weighing out the beeswax pellets. You can buy the blocks of beeswax rather than the pellets, but the pellets do melt a lot easier. So this recipe calls for a ratio of about 4:1 in terms of oil to wax, so I'm going for 500 grams of beeswax pellets here. Don't need to be as precise as I'm being there, but as long as you maintain that ratio. So 2 litres of mineral oil is what I need, so I'll just pour down to the 3 mark and I'll transfer that directly into the melter. Now with this whole process, I do think it's important to mention that it's worth putting down some plywood or some cardboard underneath the area where the melter is, as well as where you're planning on pouring the finish out into your tins later on. Reason being, the mineral oil does tend to stain quite a bit, as does the wax once the mixture is done. I don't put anything down in this video, and as you see later on, I do actually make quite a bit of a mess. Now it's just a case of adding the beeswax pellets to the oil in the melter already. The melter was turned on at this point and was on its medium setting, but with hindsight it probably could have been on the high setting, which would have been a bit quicker. But this was my first time using this, so I thought I'd be cautious. So much so that I also forgot to put the lid on, so make sure you do that unless you want to spend more money than you have to on electricity. So whilst the wax is melting, it's time to prep the tins. I buy these tins on eBay, but you can get them online in all sorts of places, Amazon as well, and they're very, very common. These particular ones are about 8.5 centimetres wide and 3 3/4 centimetres deep. Now the batch I'm making makes about 24 tins, depending on how generous you're being with the pour. I tend to pour these up until the screw line, which is about 80 grams worth of product. So once the wax is fully melted, you'll have this liquid solution, which you can dispense using that handle into the jug. And then it's just a simple case of pouring it in the tins, ready to go. I think it's really important to take your time during this next bit. There's really no need to rush. There are going to be spills. That's fine. It's part of the process, really. Probably better if you do put something down. Unlike me, may have mentioned that already. But take your time, fill everything up sort of as uniform as you can. It does take a while to cool down anyway. If you do rush or make a mistake, very easy to spill something like I just did there with the GoPro, which I was setting up for a time lapse, get that kind of traditional shot of seeing everything cool down. There's the shot itself. So yeah, if anyone knows how to make a GoPro look less rubbish than this, then please let me know, because I would have thought this would have been a much better shot. So it takes about an hour or so to cool down. That's going to depend on temperature of where you're working. This is an outdoor shed, so it never gets that warm, really. So once the tins feel cool to the touch, it's just going to be a case of adding the lids and getting them all ready. Now, applying the finish, super easy. All you need to do is get a cotton rag or a lint-free cloth and apply it liberally to the surface. I mean, you really want to be generous with this part here. Get it all over the whole surface. You're going to see a lot of streaks being left on there, which is absolutely fine. And ideally, you're going to want to leave this overnight to fully harden, let the oil sort of penetrate through. And then the next day, once it's been left, you just buff off that excess with a lint-free cloth. And in the end, you'll be left with a nice mid-sheen finish that brings out the quality of the wood and over time dulls down a little bit. It's a great finish to use. It's fully natural. There's nothing synthetic about it. It's completely food safe. And I hope this video helped. I'll see you in the next one.